Hey everyone, Michael here with Hello Cupcake It's Me, and today is the Wednesday check-in. It is July 2nd, 2025, and isn't it an interesting time to be alive? If you haven't done so already, please hit like and subscribe, then head on over to hellocupcakeitsme.com to give the blog some love, and make sure you check out the podcast that's updated every Thursday at um, podcast.hellocupcakeitsme.com, and make sure you follow me on all the different socials and check out my book Carpe Diem Scroto 365 Daily Affirmations, found at www.cdsthebook.com. So guys, have a little bit something a little bit new today. I had somebody submit me a bunch of questions, and this came in from several different people, so I'm just going to go through and read them and answer them, and hopefully this brings some enlightenment to you as well. So I have it broken down into several sections. The first section is all the questions I've had about my book. The second section is all about Hello Cupcake It's Me. The third section is about my podcast. Fourth section is about my weight loss journey. Fifth section is about living with diabetes. And then the sixth section is about the YouTube channel and my recording setup. And the final section is about college and everything else. So, starting off with the very first question coming in under the About My Book section. What is the core message of your book, and what part of your own life did you pull that truth from? So, as many of you may or may not know, or you hear me talk about it from time, like every time that I introduce myself on the podcast or here on my channel, that I talk about my book, Carpe Diem Scroto 365 Daily Affirmations. And so, for those of you who haven't seen the book, this is my author copy. It's kind of dusty right now because I've had it up on my shelf. But this is the book that I spent about 2.5 years writing. And this book, every part of it comes from my own life and my own personal experiences. I deal with a lot of mental health issues. I deal with a lot of physical health issues. And this book came about as love letters to myself in the form of daily just daily affirmations. And so like on day 60, it says, have you checked in with yourself lately today? Or have you checked in with yourself lately? How are you doing? We exert so much energy in caring for others that we often fail to check in with ourselves. It's not selfish to take a day for yourself, right? A day of just reconnecting with ourselves, not involved in other people's issues, not involved with the family or significant other, just a day to yourself where you do the things that you want. If that's laying in bed all day until the kids come home from school, then be bed folk. If that's sitting in a warm bathtub, listening to soothing music, drinking some wine, burning your favorite candle, soak it up. We cannot give 110% 24/7 and still have anything in reserve for ourselves. So give yourself a day of rest. Treat you like the god or goddess you are, and do you. Now go grab your day by the balls and fuck it up. And then there's a mental health prompt that goes along with it. So that's what this whole book is about, is just reconnecting with yourself. And the mental health prompts are all kinds of different things. So, like, the mental health prompt for day 189 is what is something that you truly regret and have yet to forgive yourself for? Take some time to meditate on this and then write about it. Use a separate piece of paper, sit with it for a while, and find the strength to heal from it. Then safely set the paper on fire and scatter the ashes into the wind. And so in the book here, you have places to actually journal. So this is not only a daily affirmation book, but it's also for journaling as well. So the core message that I repeat throughout this book is actually a couple of different messages. One, you are doing the best you can with what you have available to you at this moment. So many times we feel like we are burdened down and just bogged down by life that we feel like we are failing ourselves because we compare ourselves to other people, and that's just not the case. What is a monumental achievement for you may just be a regular Tuesday for someone else, and that's okay because we're different. The other message that I close each one of the days out with is, now go grab your life by the balls and fuck it up. Now, that isn't meant to be crude or rude or sexist or whatever else. It's a call to action. It's to say, listen, make your day the best it can be. Make your day your day. You don't have to ask permission to live your life. So live it on your terms. So that is something that I consistently have to remind myself, is that my natural love language is let me fix it. So I'm always taking on other people's bullshit and putting myself to the back burner and pouring 100% into that person and maybe getting 1% back. And so, that's just how I deal with things. And so I've had to learn that it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, I don't have the bandwidth for this today. The next question. Was there a moment while writing when you thought, I can't put this out there, but did it anyways? I consistently double guessed myself. Every single day that I would write a new entry, I'm like, are people going to appreciate this? Are people going to understand what I'm trying to say? Is this going to resonate with anyone? How is this going to affect people? Are the people in my life going to read it and think that it's tripe bullshit? Things like that. So there was a lot of self-doubt, a lot of self-deprecation, a lot of just should I, shouldn't I? And the way that the book started was every single day I would write a post the moment I woke up. Whatever came to mind went into the paper. And I did that. I didn't start with pen to paper. I started with just typing it up on my phone while I was like laying in bed, or after I got to the YMCA and was standing outside waiting for it to open. I would type this up, and it was like a inspirational love letter to myself, and then I would post that on Facebook. And so many people started reading that and sharing that content, and before I knew it, I had a built-in following of people saying, Michael, you really should write a book. You need to put this into a book. And so even having that that support system there and people like cheering me on and rooting for me, I still suffered a lot with the self-doubt and the should I, shouldn't I? If your book could save one person's life or sanity, what would you want them to take away from it? Just that you are not alone. Your feelings matter. Right, wrong, or indifferent, they belong to you, and no one has the right to invalidate your thoughts, your feelings, what you need in life. What you need is so monumentally different from somebody else's need. You might not be the best at whatever, but you offer something to the world. You matter. Your light makes the world brighter. So, as somebody who deals with suicidal thoughts and adulation and things like that, when I am in my darkest days and having that just downward spiral of fuck it, no one's gonna miss me, no one loves me, no one wants me around, etc., I remember that this is only temporary, that I got to push through to the next day. And sometimes that looks so bleak that you can't imagine having to live another day with it. And I'll be completely honest, toward the end of 2024, I was in the self checkout line more than I'd like to admit to. Literally from July all the way through to December. And then even after December, I went through another major depression of March of 2025. And then, if you've been part of my channel for a while, you know that March 20th, 2025, I lost my biological mother, who I had a very strained relationship with. But, there are those times where I feel like self checkout is the only option. And then I think about the people that I'm going to leave behind, the people who actually do love me, regardless of what this shit up here is telling me. And I do it for them. I keep pushing forward for them. Am I always going to be able to do that? Am I always going to have the strength to continue to make that fight? No. But I'm going to try my best, and I'm not going to give up unless, there is that one time that I do. But try, keep doing it. Push yourself and look at your situation that you're in and look for the positive and the negative. Look for the light. And no matter how dark it is, no matter how destructive those voices get, don't listen to them. Keep pushing through. It does, it will, it can get better. And if you're at that point, talk to somebody. By whatever you got to do, talk to somebody. Doesn't matter if it's a stranger on the street or if you actually go and seek help. We now have an amazing program that is for suicidal prevention and crisis management here in the United States. If you're not aware of it, it's 988. Instead of dialing 911, dial 988. It goes directly to a person who is trained, who can talk you through your crisis, who can help you and just get you through that moment, that momentary breakdown. How did you decide what not to share in your book? I tried to write the book in a very positive, gender neutral, very conversational, with your best friend type of way. So I never wanted to make it feel sterile. I never wanted it to make it feel clinical or use really big words that people may not know or understand. And I wanted it to be like how I'm talking to the camera right now and how you're listening, that it's just a conversation between two people. As some of you know, I am a certified peer counselor in the state of Washington. And I'm also a mental health advocate, and I take a lot of mental health courses online. And so I have the terminology, I have the clinical like background to back it up, but I don't work for an agency, and I don't use the big words because I don't want to come across as an authority or somebody who is in a position of power. I want the power dynamic to be equal and neutral in everything I do. So I withheld a lot of the clinical terminologies and things like that. And I withheld the negative that I was feeling. So during the writing of the book, if I was having an off day, or I didn't feel good, or I was in a really bad headspace, I did not write that day. Sometimes it was an entire week or a month, which is why it took me so long to write it. But I did not want to put any of my own negative connotations into the work to then to have that transfer over to the reader. So that was a lot of what I did not include in the book. Otherwise, a lot of it was just kind of one-on-one conversation type stuff. How has writing the book changed your day-to-day mental health? So even though I've written the book, there are still days where I'm feeling really just kind of down and out, where I will pick up the book and I'll just randomly open it to a page and read that passage. And it seems to me like that is what I needed to hear for that day or whatever. And that kind of helps me. It also helps, having written it helps me to take a step back and reevaluate the things that are going on in my life in a more positive, more mindful way, instead of having instant reactions to things. It's like, okay, stop, evaluate, assess, okay, do the square breathing and all that other stuff, and then move forward. So that's kind of how it's helped me. The next section is about my blog, Hello Cupcake It's Me. So you always hear me tell you, like, go check out the blog, hellocupcakeitsme.com. So the first question is, what inspired the name Hello Cupcake It's Me? So I've covered this in previous videos, but that was aeons ago. So Chelsea Handler had just come out with a book called Hello Vodka It's Me, Chelsea. And I absolutely got the biggest chuckle out of that title. And I started thinking about myself and what I was trying to accomplish at the time, which was weight loss. And so I wanted to start blogging about my weight loss, my mental health journey, and just my day-to-day life, and so on and so forth. And the visual came to me of me as a heavy set person trying to be good on my diet, opening the refrigerator, and there's nothing else in there except for a single cupcake. And it was like, hello, cupcake, it's me. And like, that's where it clicked. I was like, that's funny. That, to me, it was funny. And it was just like that aha moment of like, running into your old rival or your nemesis or something like that, like, because I have zero restraint when it comes to like junk food, which 90% of Americans do, and it's part of the reason that I'm as heavy as I am. Also, my weight and obesity and stuff like that is also genetic as well as medical. And I'm trying to lose weight, and that was the whole thing behind Hello Cupcake It's Me, was just that it was for me to journal and chronicle my weight loss journey, my struggle with mental health. And over the years, it has become so much more. It's become a blog, a podcast. Um, I've been interviewed on TV shows. I've been interviewed on other podcasts. I've done lectures. I've done seminars. I've done one-on-one with people. I've done product testing for new and upcoming diabetic um, devices or trends or medications or whatever else. And so, like, Hello Cupcake It's Me, in the almost, I want to say, 13 to 15 years that it has been a brand, has really evolved. And today it is just talking about my day-to-day life, talking about my truths for that day or whatever's going on in my life. How does blogging help you process what's happening in your life? Again, like I just said, it helps me put down on paper how I'm feeling, because at the very beginning of Hello Cupcake It's Me, I never felt like I had anyone that I could talk to. I had no outlet. So I used it as kind of a Dear Diary type situation. So I poured everything good, bad, and in between into that blog, and just used it to kind of propel and springboard me forward in life, and just kind of gave me a place to put my genuine thoughts. What post are you most proud of, and which one still makes you cringe? That's kind of the same coin, different side scenario. At one point or another, all of them are kind of cringe, but at the same time, they are all something that I'm proud of because I expressed myself. For so many years of my life, I had a hard time talking directly to people and expressing what was on my mind, in my heart, weighing on my chest. And so I I coined the phrase right, wrong, or indifferent, this is how I feel. And that is what Hello Cupcake It's Me, the blog, and even the YouTube channel and the podcast now, that's kind of the whole thing behind it, is right, wrong, or indifferent. This is how I feel. This is what's going on with me. And I don't need you to validate my feelings. I'm validating them for myself. How do you handle negative comments and trolls? You guys would not believe the number of negative comments that I received, not only on the blog, but on YouTube itself. People are constantly telling me that I should kill myself, that I'm a waste of space, constantly attacking my appearance, just everything about me. And at first it used to get to me, now it doesn't. It's just like, you know what? For every single one of you who troll me, not only are you upping my algorithm, which really helps, but there's also 7 or 8 people in my DMs telling me, Michael, thank you. I thought I was the only one who dealt with stuff like this, and hearing you has really helped me. So, that's how I kind of deal with that. The next section is about my podcast, and it says, "What made you start your podcast on top of everything else?" So, podcasts aren't something new, but it is something new for the Hello Cupcake It's Me brand and for me venturing into. And what made me start it was that I realized that there was a whole market and a whole demographic of people that may benefit from what I have to say. And so I wanted to create another facet for them to be able to connect with me or to learn more about me or to just have representation. How do you decide what topics to cover? Usually it's what comes to mind comes to mouth. Sometimes I have topics that I want to cover. Other times it's just a rehash of what I talked about on the Wednesday YouTube video and then whatever has happened since then. I do kind of keep a little bit of a crowbar separation between the YouTube channel and the podcast and try to offer things that are specifically just for the podcast and things that are specifically just for the YouTube channel and things that are specifically just for the blog. So no matter how you consume my content, it's different across all the different platforms. What has been your favorite episode so far and why? I think my favorite episode was my very first book interview. And I think that I posted that onto the podcast. I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember. But I don't usually have guests on any of my stuff. But I think that would have to be one of the times that I felt the proudest and like also the most like, yeah, I'm doing this. What do you wish you could rant about on your podcast that you haven't? That's a very hard one because even though I am so open and outspoken in many different aspects of my life, there's still a lot that you guys don't know about me. And there's still a lot that I haven't talked about yet. And the reason that I haven't said the things that I've held back is because I still want to keep a little bit of my privacy. And I'm an open book, but there's still some things that I have yet worked up the courage to talk about on such a broad spectrum and as far reaching as what YouTube and the podcast and the blog can be, because once you put that content out there, it's never removable. And a lot of it is just fear-based. I don't know how it would affect you as the consumer of my content. And I have worked very hard over the last decade to build the following that I have, and I don't want to ostracize anyone, and I don't want anyone to feel differently about me after hearing maybe something that they don't like or don't agree with about me. So I don't talk about politics or religion that often, and you could probably figure out where I lay on the political spectrum. Spirituality is, something that is very personal to me, and it is something that I don't talk about because my spirituality and my word for God might not match what your word for God is or what your spiritual path is. And so I keep those things kind of to myself. So the next thing is about my weight loss journey. So, what is the hardest truth you've learned about yourself through losing weight? So, over the years, I have gained weight and lost weight and gained it back. Um, when I moved to Washington in 2008, I was 225 pounds lighter than what I am currently. And that, well, not currently, but we'll just say currently, because I have lost about 25 pounds since my new walking and all that other stuff, but we'll get into that later. So moving to Washington was the best and worst thing that I had ever done, and my weight was part of that. When I lived in California, I was walking upwards of 5 to 10 miles a day, just because I had to walk a mile and a half to my niece's school, and then I would walk back to her school, pick her up, walk back. Sometimes I would have to go do the grocery shopping, so I would have to walk a mile or half mile additional to already taking her to school or doing whatever else, and then having to lug the groceries back or whatever else. So I was constantly moving, constantly like physically active, so on and so forth. Some of my thyroid and hormone problems were not prevalent yet. And so one of the hardest truths that I learned about myself is that I tend to give up really easily because because I get discouraged. And I used to use that as a weapon against myself, and now I don't care. Like, I know that I do the best that I can, and if that means that I backslide tomorrow and lose all the progress that I've been working up for the last 2 months again, oh well. Just keep trying and keep going, or don't. Um, so that's been one of the hardest things for me, is like changing that self doubt and that negative into a positive working force for myself. How do I stay motivated when the scale doesn't move? I just look at the scale like, okay, well, fuck you too. Straight up. And just keep it moving, because there are so many different factors that affect your scale weight. You could have a lot of water retention if you hadn't gone to the restroom that day. You could have a lot of buildup, like stool, because you haven't gone to the bathroom that day. It could be because you're freshly out of the shower, not completely dried off, or you're not taking into consideration the weight of your clothing, or a lot of different things. So I try not to rely too heavily on what the scale says. I only use a scale as kind of a generalized benchmark as to where I was previously. So the next one, what is something people assume about your weight loss that is completely wrong? People assume that I'm as large as I am because I'm just a fat, lazy person that doesn't do anything. And that is completely wrong. Um, all of the people in my family, on both my biological mother's side and my father's side, are heavy people. And, you know, I'm not an exception. So I am pre-genetically um, designed to be a larger person. Also, my heritage from like my ancestors, they were large people as well. I am I'm Norse Viking, Scandinavian, and Native American. And so I have a different bone density structure and my build is different. Even at my thinnest, I was still large looking. And, you know, that's just something that people see. They see me and some of the most off the wall shit that people say to me because I'm heavy set, I'm kind of effeminate, soft spoken, whatever. They say some of the most crazy off the wall shit to me that they would never say to anyone else. And a lot of it is just an assumption about like, oh yeah, you just sit around, you eat all day, blah blah. Actually, no, I really don't. I eat maybe once a day. I don't snack all day either. It's only been since starting to walk again with intention to lose weight that I've started eating more. And that's because I'm finding that I'm burning more calories and I need to maintain blood sugar and all that other stuff. So I'm eating to continue to help myself with those things. What is your go to comfort food when you're struggling and you do let yourself have it? I love it. Well, it really depends on where I'm at, like mentally that day, also. Sometimes that's just a pint of ice cream, or sometimes it's a cookie or an entire an entire thing of cookies. Um, I'm a sweetaholic, so anything sweet usually. But my go-to are cookies, ice cream, and like hamburgers. Like McDonald's hamburgers are just hamburgers in general. I freaking love those. I could eat them every single day. And pizza, like that's my junk food. That's what I love. I especially love like here in the Pacific Northwest, we have a grocery store called Quality Food Center, or QFC for short. It's part of the Kroger um, brand or whatever else, but they have an ice cream called Extreme Moose Tracks, and it is a chocolate ice cream with a thick ribbon of chocolate fudge, I think, in it with like little peanut butter cups. Freaking amazing. Cookies. I love the little peanut butter chocolate cookies or Samoas like you get from the Girl Scout. Um, I found that Safeway, QFC, and the Dollar Tree have knockoffs of those, and so that's my go-to. Um, has your relationship with your body changed since you started? That's a hard one, um, because my mental image of myself does not match my physical image. I have body dysmorphia in that degree. So I love myself for every part of myself. Do I wish I was thinner? Do I wish I, had this going on or that going on or whatever? Yeah, of course, but those are vanity things. At the core of who I am, I love myself. And so my relationship with my body is and has always been a very weird, difficult thing for me, because I've seen myself super, super, super skinny, and then I've seen myself at the weight that I am now. And my mental image is still of that younger version of me, not who I am now. And I've had people say, "Oh, I can't believe you weigh that much. You don't look like you weigh that much. You don't move like a fat person. You walk, just like I said, going back, people say a lot of off the wall shit to me. Um, Sorry that the video is getting kind of long here, but I'm just going to kind of touch over the last couple of questions here. What do people get wrong about living with diabetes every day? Okay, so I am not the typical diabetic. Um, I am a type 1.5, and it's not a well recognized term, but when you talk to doctors, they understand what you mean by type 1.5. So that means that I exhibit all of the symptoms of a type 1 diabetic and a type 2 diabetic. So I could go a day or two without insulin where a regular diabetic could not do. They I also I'm very in tune with my body, so I know pretty much where my blood sugar is without having to stick my finger all the time. Um, and the other thing that people get wrong is that you're not supposed to have sugar. Your body needs sugar to convert it to glucose to like function. So I've had people like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have anything that's diabetic friendly. I know you can't have cake or whatever." And I'm like, yeah, I can. I can have a slice of cake. I don't restrict myself in what I eat as a diabetic. And, my A1C levels, which are the every, a 90-day snapshot of how my diabetes has been, um, those numbers are consistently down. When I first got diagnosed, my A1C levels were 15.7 or something like that. Like, if I would have continued at that level or higher, eventually I would start getting stuff cut off or possibly even die from going into a coma or whatever. Let's see. So the next question is, what part of diabetes management that never gets talked about enough? The amount of bullshit that you have to do in order to keep your blood sugars and everything going properly. Um, I wear an insulin pump. The amount of trash that I have and that I produce from wearing this pump. Every 3 days, I'm supposed to change out the cartridge and the entire tubing system and put a new one on. And I have so many scars in this area of my stomach from attaching these stupid insertions. They don't talk about the pain. They don't talk about the inconvenience. They don't talk about like the fear of not getting your supplies reissued to you because the doctor's nurse didn't submit the paperwork, or your medical insurance doesn't like the way that it was written out. Like, they hate paying for my insulin pump because the insulin that I take isn't rated for insulin pump usage. Yet I've been utilizing that same exact insulin in this pump for 8 years. And it's like, just shut the fuck up, approve it, give me my stuff, let me move on about. So I could make an entire video of me just ranting about that. The next one is going to be about my YouTube channel and recording setup, and it said, "What made you hit the record button for the very first time and upload it to the world?" The very first time that I made the video, I had absolutely no idea what the hell I was going to do or what I was going to talk about, or if what I made the video about was going to even be something that people wanted to hear. And I did it mainly as a video diary and a quicker way to create content than having to type it out constantly. Let's see. Do you script your videos or do you go off the cuff? I go 100% off the cuff. Comes to mind, comes to mouth. A lot of times there's things that I didn't expect to talk about that I ended up talking about. What's one dream video that you'd love to make if money, time, or fear didn't matter? I would like to be able to elevate my YouTube channel in general to looking more professional, to sounding more professional, to having better lighting, better equipment, better whatever. But I live on a budget and I do the best I can with that budget. Over the years, the quality of my videos have changed dramatically. I record using my cell phone, which is a Samsung Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus 5G. And for the longest time, I was recording on an iPhone 6 Plus. And then before that, I was recording on a Sony Bloggy. I love this little thing. It has been to hell and back with me, but I mainly love it for this little screen and that it pops out and it's compact. Before that, I used a flip cam. So, I'm always trying to find budget-friendly ways of creating the content that I create. You see that I'm starting to use these lavalier microphones. I picked them up off of the TikTok shop for like $10 or something like that. I like them because I don't have to I don't have to record through my computer like I used to. Do I have good microphones? Of course I do. I have a Snowball Yeti literally sitting right here, and I have a Blue Yeti Nano right here. And then I have another condenser microphone sitting a little lower down on my setup here. And then I have a ring light directly behind me, but this is natural light that's coming on. And I have several other ring lights. So I just tried to... That would be my number one fantasy, is to have a YouTube studio that was dedicated directly for my recording of videos and things like that. And then the last couple of questions here is about my college. What did you study in college, and how does it connect or not to what you are doing now? If you could go back and change what you studied in college, would you? And what did college teach you that you still carry with you to this day, and what did it fail to teach you? So with those three questions there, when I first started going to college, my parents were paying for it. And then when they found out that I wasn't an AB student, they decided they were no longer going to pay for my college. And thankfully, I'm a networking type of a person, and I met some really amazing people that helped me get on financial aid, helped me get academically emancipated from my parents, so they looked directly at my income, which at the time was nothing. Then I also was given a job on campus making $7.25 an hour, which is just fucking ridiculous. But that's the job I had. Um, so once my parents stopped paying for college, my initial college education was in education. I wanted to become a high school English teacher. Um, I had gone over several different things that I wanted to do, and my dad said, "No, I'm not going to pay for you to do this. No, I'm not going to pay for you to do that." So, you know, I was like, "Okay, well, what about a high school English teacher?" It was about the only thing that I could think of that I liked. I loved the idea of being able to communicate, and I wanted to work with inner city children and teenagers, and work it out that the gang members and the people who live that street life could still get their education and have that shit on paper, and instead of turning their homework assignments in class and losing credit with their friends or their gang members or their associates, they could leave their homework in a bush or whatever else. So I had this really romantic idea of being a teacher. But once my parents stopped paying for that, and I got financial aid, and I was kind of let loose into academia, there was a lot of different things that I studied. I studied cultural anthropology, with emphasis in spirituality and a focus on earth-based religions. I also focused on desktop publishing, web design, photo editing, photojournalism, stuff like that. Another one that I worked on was early childhood education. And then another degree that I worked on was just the arts, like learning about different painting techniques, drawing techniques, and all this other stuff. And so when I dropped out of college in the spring of 2004, had I continued on for 2 semesters more, I would have graduated with 5 different associates and certificates in several different areas of education. And if I could go back and change the things that I studied, I think that I would maybe add some more literature and English classes to all of that. I would also love to add more PC repair type courses to that as well. But a lot of what I learned in college, I bring with me and I still use on a daily basis, especially the cultural anthropology, spirituality, the Bible as literature, the comparing and contrasting of religious ideology throughout the whole world. I think that has given me a really good grasp on how to approach people who are maybe a different religion or spirituality than what I currently practice. And so that's kind of how things all tie together. So, anyways, guys, thank you so much for submitting these questions to me. I love this type of stuff because it gives me something to talk about. And I'm sorry that the video is almost an hour long. So if you've watched this long, put a heart in the comment section down below. And I'm not going to keep you any longer, but thank you so very much. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye, guys.